Graham G. Mathis here, BleacherReport.com. Today we're talking to WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus ahead of the upcoming episode A&E WWE Rivals. Trish, you're going to be a subject on that documentary alongside Lita. Trish, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Just have a little show coming up on A&E. I have a WrestleMania match. Nothing much. Nothing much.
Just staying busy in the Trish Stratus world as always. But I mean, I feel like the episode is so fitting and it's so timely, like you mentioned, with WrestleMania coming up. It's not just any ordinary WrestleMania match you're having. You're teaming with said former rival, now friend, on and off again over the last 20, 25 years, Lita. In that special, you guys are teaming at WrestleMania. How appropriate is the timing of this episode coming up on A&A?
It is, as they say, apropos. It is and it just was like serendipitous because it was like literally within my team. My team was like, "Oh wow, this coming out with this happening is really amazing," right?
Yeah.
Like it's great. Yeah, I mean, it's great. We were thrilled to know we were being spotlighted as a rival episode. We know the Trish and Lita thing is talked about, and it's kind of like the point that the people point to that rivalry. We had a DVD release, best friends, better rivals, which is a very true statement with us. But yeah, to have it coming out now with like WrestleMania around the corner now, and like knowing like we're going to be on the same team, it's cool to be on the flip side of it all, knowing because really our rivalry, right, was like built as entertainers out there. What we did was unique. It was this interesting dynamic. There was this intangible between us, which we produced as characters on the show. But it was all, the reason we could pull it off, I think, is because we had this amazing relationship the entire
Mhm.
time, trusted each other, and we had this bond. And really, we did this journey together. We had the same drive, the same motivation, and the same mo to go out there and just change the perception of how females are viewed in this business. And so that's the underlying, current of like this whole thing. And so to have it come out this way and us to be on the same side is pretty special.
Yeah, I think what's cool about it too, what you mentioned, is that we've seen this, talked about a lot. The Trish and Lita rivalry in many different documentaries on network specials and stuff like that over the last 20 years. But I feel like timing is everything. Again, not just the fact that you guys are teaming at WrestleMania, but so much has changed, not just with YouTube, but like women's wrestling on the whole. Like we knew that you guys had an impact on the division with what you did when you guys initially retired back in '06 around that time frame, but it's even more apparent all these years later as we speak in 2023. So I feel like, again, the timing is everything, like you mentioned. And does doing a documentary like this and reflecting on the rivalry these many years later, as opposed to in the mid 2000s, mid 2010s, whatever, give you more reflection and kind of add more to the documentary as opposed to what it would have been 10, 15 years ago?
1,000%, because a lot of it is retrospective, because when you're in the grind and you just even freshly retired at that point, and maybe even publicly people didn't realize the impact right at the time until later on, or seeing then the women go and do what they do now is because they were inspired or motivated by what we did back in the past, so it means more. But yeah, like it really took us to like be retired, go out, meet the fans, doing autograph signings, talking to fans, and meeting like the dad who's like, I just got my daughter into wrestling, but I started with your stuff, the OG
Mhm.
stuff, and it's like it's really cool. The network allowed that to happen. They were able to go back and watch all the stuff, because I would laugh. I'm like, oh, you weren't even born when I was wrestling. Okay. Yeah, so I think we definitely have a different perspective now to know what we did or what impact we made. But the cool thing about like even the match happening now, touching on, you think of the dynamic of like we have the past, you have the present with Becky and Bailey, and you have the future in Io and Dakota, all in one match. And so just think about the layers there, that are being presented in that match itself. But yeah, like it's really it goes back to everything we did and where it came from in the journey. Like from Bailey saying like, I watched you guys in the main event and said, oh my god, this is something I can do, to Io saying like, I can't believe I'm in this match with you. You know what I mean? So it's after I punched her after that, of course. I'm just saying
Of course.
we weren't talking. Yeah, so it's really cool, and I think I'm really like appreciative of the opportunity to have this documentary done at this time, and this, not saying the timing of WrestleMania, that's just been serendipitous,
Yeah.
but the fact that we were able to years later come back and sit down and do this retrospective look, because it takes those moments to sit back, look through old stuff, be reminded of moments, hear what other people are saying, to be like, holy smokes, like wow, what a difference, and like just even I think it took hearing other superstars saying that's what made me want to get into wrestling, right? And seeing these amazing superstars currently performing, and that because of what they saw, what we did,
Yeah.
seeing someone like Natty, growing up in the world of wrestling, literally, right? And saying, I did not think I could do this or I wanted to do this until I saw you. She told me, until I saw you, I was like, oh, that's now I see it. Now
Yeah.
I can see myself doing this. And believe me, at the time we did not, we were just trying to do good. We were just like, show the guys that we can do this too. And, let's prove, like, when we got the main event match, let's prove that, like, we can have this, coveted time slot and we can deliver. And it wasn't until, years later, we're like, oh my God, that was a very important piece of history of the
Mhm.
beginning of all, like a rung on the ladder of where they ended up, where the women ended up going, and how the, I say the evolution, revolution, whatever we call it nowadays, where, not to say it began there, but it was the beginnings of it, right? So that we're now presenting the women in a different light, and then therefore the fan base, the WWE universe, can now view us in a different light.
Yeah, exactly. Just how far everything has come with the company and the women's division since those early days of main eventing Raw, and now it's a normal thing where it's not even a big deal anymore. Like it's an expected thing, as it should be. Main eventing pay-per-views and stuff like that, and having so much talent in this one match at WrestleMania is going to showcase that with you guys involved, which is great. Obviously, like you said, you and Lita on the same side this time, teaming as partners alongside Becky Lynch. Obviously, you and Lita reuniting on the show recently, but you guys are very close outside of the ring. We don't see it on the show, but like for years, you guys have always been best friends. How does adding Becky into that mix, does that change the dynamic at all? Is she along the same lines as you guys? Can you talk about that relationship a little bit?
Yeah, no, she definitely, it's a great dynamic because her and Lita are very similar. Like, they sort of forge that path of, like, doing it their own way, and that
Yeah.
sort of, that MO was, both of them were kind of living that out. And I've been a fan of hers for so long. I mean, we had some interaction at a live event in Toronto, and we had some fun just going back and forth. And I think people were getting a kick out of that because we have a bit of that same personality with our punny personality and whatnot. So it's been fun. It really is a nice mix. And like I said, just to be able to go in with her, and then, touch with Bailey and then the new girl. It's going to make for a really interesting match because we all have our styles, right? We all came from different times, and we're all bringing it to this match. So I'm excited to see how it all comes together. And I mean, I could be more happier to team with Lita. Like, if we're going to go back and we're going to put everything on hold, and I have
Yeah.
life and business and I have babies and I have all this stuff, right? It's like we're having so much fun, right? We're having the best time. We're doing it together. And yeah, it's really special to go back in this capacity.
And you mentioned the interaction with Becky on that house show a while ago in Toronto. Was that like the spark for you that was like, I kind of want to come back and be able to work with her, face her, team with her, whatever. I know Bailey, you've been on her bucket list for a long time. Obviously, you had your last match previously back at SummerSlam 2019. At that point, that was your last match. We still don't know when, there could be another match to come. This may not be a retirement match. Only you know that in the future will bring and stuff like that. Can you talk about, like, what was the spark and what changed since then that was like, maybe I do want to have a couple more matches? What kind of changed within you there?
Yeah, I don't think it was a conscious choice to say I want to go back. I have some more in me. To be
Mhm.
honest, the Charlotte match for me was a very perfect ending. It was the generational face off. It was, the best of that generation. So they say the best of my generation. We got
Yeah.
a chance to face off and bring that in Toronto. Like, everything about it was absolutely perfect. And for that to be a closure to me, I was very satisfied with that. It was
Yeah.
felt really good. But then having these little interactions at live events, realizing it's fun and it's neat to, like, to have that mix up and have the generational mix up. But I think, like, I've always said since the very beginning when I retired, was I would return if it was fun.
Yeah.
It was challenging. I wanted to go. I'm not going to go back and not have fun. Obviously, I'm going to go have fun because I'm putting all this stuff aside to do it.
Yep.
It's not like the old days where that's all I do is I go and wrestle. I go train at like 9 till midnight after my kids are in bed. I go to the
Yeah.
ring. You know what I mean? So it's a lot. It's a big thing. It's a big sacrifice, but I love it.
Mhm.
And it has to be, having that chance to, I don't want to say pass the torch necessarily, but to do that, to influence another generation, right? To bring something, my experience, my 20 years of experience, bring that and have it rub off on the others. And because I've always said, like, I don't know if Trish Stratus is necessarily known as like the best wrestler ever,
Mhm.
but I stuck in your memories for something. It was the je ne sais quoi, as they call it, a little something, like a little something I did, whether it's my psychology, the little intricate moments and things about making it. So I love passing that sort of knowledge, and I got a chance to do that with Tough Enough, where I saw it's not about just like, oh, let me teach you an arm drag. No, no. Like I could
Yeah.
give you the stuff that I feel like is what makes a superstar stand out and what makes them memorable, makes a moment memorable. Taking something even that's like, we used to have a saying, if you have, you're given chicken shit, we're going to make chicken salad out of it. So, I guess that was kind of crude to say it. I probably could have said that lemon reference there. It would have said better, but 80s rolling your eyes at me. But you know what I mean? It's just about like making the most out of every moment out there, but there's little things to do and like knowing an audience and how to evoke an emotion from an audience. And these are little things like even I see in the jobs I do today, like I'm a judge on Canada's Got Talent. And the producers always come up. They're like, "I just love the way you get the crowd involved." Like,
Yeah.
there's one thing like, "Here's your golden buzzer." Here's Trish Stratus, who's like stands up, points to her, points to fucking elbow. Like that's what
Yeah.
I. And in a moment, they're like, "That was incredible! It's being replayed. It went viral. Whatever." You know what I mean? So it is about creating those moments, and I'm happy to like do that with these girls on the grandest stage of all.
Yeah, and you talk about like the grandest stage of all in WrestleMania, and it's crazy because the last time we saw you at WrestleMania, that wasn't your last match. You talk about the Charlotte match that was at SummerSlam in Toronto, such an excellent match and a swan song for that period in time, and that was a singles match. This is a six-woman, so it's a different dynamic, obviously. But the last time we saw you at Mania in the ring would have been 2011, right? The six-person tag team match. So I
Yeah.
believe. So it would
Yeah.
have been over 10 years ago, which is crazy. And obviously, you've done so much outside of the ring since then, much more accomplished, decorated in the ring, outside of the ring. Can you talk about what the difference is coming back for this match? Obviously, two very different matches. That one kind of came together last minute. It seemed like Snooki was involved, different dynamic. This is
Yeah.
much more straightforward with the past, present, and future, like you said. Talk about like the difference of coming back for that match and the difference of coming back for this match 10 years apart at WrestleMania.
Well, it definitely like it's gonna be. It's just there's like different stakes, right?
Yep.
There's an element of proving yourself a little bit too. Coming back, you always feel like you have to prove yourself. I know, like with my Charlotte match, that was like one of my big driving forces. Was not only proving it to the fans that I could do this, it was to myself. I still do this.
Yeah.
I've just been competitive my whole life, and I thrive on challenge. So I love the fact that like, can I still hang with these girls? And believe me, before I accepted, I did a few rounds in the ring, and I know physically to know like, can I do this? The question was rhetorical, but I definitely pulling it off and just doing and just making these moments, right? Like my career for me, I feel like has been made. I've been blessed with these really really magical moments. Even WrestleMania, I've been very blessed to have many WrestleMania moments, right? So
Yep.
to have another one, have the opportunity to create another one that leave and it's competitive, right? There's two nights, there's amazing superstars, there's females that possibly could main event, I mean, it's insane. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that people are talking about this match, and I'll do what I know to bring to the ring in order to do that.
What I think is so cool about this match too is that, especially going into it before it was made official on Monday's Raw, because this was only 3 days ago that it was officially added to WrestleMania. No one really knew what exactly the Mania match would be. That was before you came back. Lita and Becky, would they be partners? Would they be facing Bayley one-on-one? There's a lot of different dynamics, and now we know what the match is going to be. You
Yeah.
talked about agreeing to the match. Can you take us through the timeline of when officially that was, because we had heard reports you were at Raw and not used and stuff like that. Plans change. It's wrestling. That stuff happens all the time. Can you talk a little bit about the timeline and when that was kind of made official for you?
Yeah, I've been speaking with WWE for a little while now about possibly doing a little something like,
Mhm.
since I did live events.
Yeah.
They always thought there was always ideas thrown at me because once they saw me get in there with the girls, it was like, oh, this could be something. And I'm always surprised too. Like, I mean, don't forget, like it's a Toronto event, but I mean, like the response, you want to make sure like people are still into me, like can
Yeah.
she still deliver? Like there's all those questions, right? So I'm obviously I have a great relationship with WWE. So we've always talked if there's a moment, and they've always said, would you come back? Yeah, if there's a right moment. I know, like I said, if the right moment is challenging, I can touch another generation and make a difference. That would be great. These boxes have to be checked. But
Mhm.
and this was it came together. And because don't forget, Lita had a nice little ending swan song, so to speak, as well. Like she
Yeah.
got to go with Becky, and she went to Saudi Arabia and had that great moment too. So we both had like, that's cool. Like even out of all those years in retirement, we were both able to go back in singles match capacity and nail it, and
Yeah.
do great stuff, right? So, but this, I think that honestly, to be honest, the opportunity for me and Lita to actually be on the same team in a WrestleMania moment, because I feel like Trish and Lita, we had WrestleMania 18,
Yep.
But I had so many WrestleMania moments after that where we weren't together. We were not together, which is shocking that actually there was not even
Yeah.
a moment with Lita and I. So for us to go back in this capacity and be on the same team and just do what we do together, it's just so fun. It's fun for us, and I think it's interesting. And I think for fans to finally see us to come, especially because don't forget the rivalry since day one, because our careers have paralleled
Hmm.
since we debuted. You know, you always knew there's just something when they get in the ring. There's just something between Trish and Lita, right? For the fans to finally be like like to unite, right? To be on both sides. Because when we started the team bestie thing, we knew that like fans were like, okay, I don't have to just choose between you guys. I can be
Yeah.
cool. So I think now for us to see it play out, to see this relation, like it's all been based on this amazing relationship of trust. The bond we formed has all come. Like the reason we were great rivals. The reason we could go and like put our bodies on the line and trust each other out there and do this great stuff and take these great strides and these intrepid steps to be like, can we do this together? It's because we did it together and we had each other's support, we had each other's back, and I think that has been the main thing along the way is this amazing friendship and this bond. So now to share this moment together, knowing we had our part in all the girls in the ring, we influenced them in some way. It's pretty special. So to do that together and be there almost representing, it's. I mean, that's really for me was this is an obvious yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fitting, I don't want to say last chapter of that rivalry, but of this story, it's the
Yeah,
perfect next progression as far as the women that you guys influenced now teaming together, which shockingly never really happened before in WWE until now. We have women's tag team titles now, which was barely a thought in anyone's mind 15 years ago. Like, it's crazy to think about the story and how it's culminating, the timing of the episode. You can't write this stuff. Like, it kind of just works out perfectly. And with a
yeah.
match like this, it's cool. Like, when you go into it, I guess last question for you look at this as probably not my last. Like, are you at a point now where it's like it's hard to say what my retirement match is going to be? If it is, it is, and that sort of thing. It's hard to kind of label that going in, I guess, at this point.
It is. It is. It is. It is hard because I thought Charlotte for sure. Like, how do you
Yeah,
get better than that? I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah,
This is it. This is it. It checked the box, you know. But
yeah,
I feel like maybe they're going to have to go and do a revised ending to the Rivals episode after they watch it, or maybe there's a part two. Be like, and the journey continues in
exactly.
23. So yeah. So we'll see. But I'm super excited. I think that I'm excited to watch this episode. I think it's going to be so fun to see it. The story told, which everyone knows, a Trish and Lita story, but to see it in from our perspective now at this point in our life, right? And with where the women are in the industry, and hearing their insight brought to the documentary as well, it's going to be a really special. And I'm just excited for having that moment to show the journey and to finally have a voice, and know that like it's being heard. And we finally we knocked down the preconceived notion of what a female could do in the ring, and we did it together.
Yeah, and then no better place than on the grandest stage of them all as well. And we'll see you guys there and in the dock. A lot of Trish Stratus to go around right now. In addition to everything else you're already doing, like you said, you're a mom and you have all these other positions and jobs and stuff going on, which is great to see. So congrats on the success. I'm
Um,
looking forward to the
I
dock.
don't say
I'm
the
looking
head of
forward to
that.
the match. What was that?
Thank you. Oh, yes, physicians and jobs. He's got it all.
Exactly. It's
Judge, mom.
you got a lot of stuff going on. There's never a shortage of Stratus going around in the world, WWE or otherwise. Trish, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it, and best luck with everything going forward.
Thank you. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for your support always. And we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely looking forward to Trish. Thank you.